right. Welcome, everybody, to the December 6th town board meeting, and then I'll start the meeting with the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, start the meeting with the privilege of the floor. So if anybody on the Zoom meeting wishes to speak, they should raise their hand now. And I'll start with Matt next, who's here at the town hall.
Do I need to stand up or sit? It's fine.
You may sit, that's fine.
Okay. So I'm going to start with giving you a 1-minute history lesson. Then I'll probably insult you, and then I'm going to offer a suggestion, and then I'll probably leave. So I've got way too much going on in my world. 1794, Mariah Ursley was the first settler in the town of Caroline. And shortly thereafter, David Rich entered the town of Caroline the next spring. A couple years later, the Baylor family was in the town of Caroline, and then in the early 1820s, 1815-ish, the Snow family came to town. So that makes, in my family, 9 generations with my great niece that have lived in this town or are currently living in this town. 3 of these generations have been dairy farmers, which produce milk and shipped to a cooperative. We have 98 years with that cooperative and outlasted it by a few years. So a little over 100 years, 3 generations, which makes me a very active environmentalist. And there's a major difference between an active environmentalist who has made a living off the environment, produced product from the raw materials at hand, and provided it for consumption of others, and lived within the confines of the environment and enhanced it in a lot of cases. Never trying to do any damage to it, because otherwise you fail, because it fails. Now, having said that, I have read partially through your current plan of the zoning, and it reads like a homeowners association written by a bunch of environmental activists. It has, don't do this, don't do this. It doesn't offer solutions. It doesn't offer the fixes. It doesn't offer compromises. And to me, it's a pile of crap. And I know I'm going to insult you, but you guys are smart. You've worked very hard. It was pointed out to me that you've tried real hard to do this, and you've changed the verbiage, you've tweaked it here and there. But main content of this product is not agreeable to a lot in this town. There are some who think it's great, but there are some who are really turned off by it, and I'm one of them. My suggestion, before you finish this, and you're probably going to tell me it's not a good suggestion, is that you put 3 people on this side of the table and have a working session between 6 and 9 times over the next month or 2 into February, maybe early March, and try to work out the differences that our side and your side see. Because we don't feel that you have any science or the data to back up what has been put down. And I feel very strongly about that, and I'm willing to sit at this table with my basic high school education and talk with you folks about it. But I was also reminded by my father-in-law, who told me, he says, I have a PhD and I am smarter than you are, and my pencil doesn't have erasers because I don't make mistakes. Well, I'm sorry, everybody makes mistakes, and I make my share of them. And I feel that this plan that you have at the table is a mistake as it is written, and it needs work. And I'm willing to put time in to help change it to its more tangible for all. That's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I'm gonna go to Zoom land now, and I see that Catherine Goldberg has her hand up.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Catherine.
Hi, so thanks for letting me speak. I spoke last month about a specific paragraph in the zoning draft, just because it was on the agenda of specific edits for that meeting. I do appreciate that it was addressed. I'm speaking again tonight to emphasize that that was honestly just one relatively insignificant example of a broader theme, and that is the theme of subjectivity within the law. This was a primary concern of mine during my time on the board, as you know, and it remains a concern now as a resident. I want to be really clear that I am in no way opposed to visionary statements about the values and even aesthetics of our town. But the place for those statements within our town's written documents is the comprehensive plan. A zoning law, in contrast, is meant to assist residents, builders, and town leadership in assuring that development in the town proceeds in ways which are consistent with the comprehensive plan and also applied without bias or judgment. The more subjective a zoning law, the more confusing it is, and the more difficult it is to interpret and administer. I've been giving this a lot of thought. As you know, I've spent a long time thinking about all these things. And this issue of subjectivity is nothing new in zoning legislation and reform. A 2021 bill in Connecticut eliminated the term, quote, character, among others, from state law as a legal basis to zoning regulations. A California Planning Council also addressed objective versus subjective standards in a 2022 document. And this one was really so apt that I thought I would just read a little bit of it. And it states, an objective standard is one that involves no personal or subjective judgment by a public official and is verifiable by reference to criteria available and known to both an applicant and the public official. Many design standards, however, are subjective and require personal interpretation of their meaning and application. This interpretation, in turn, can lead to a lengthy project review and approval process. This goes on, while zoning codes typically have objective standards in the form of setbacks, heights, etc., many jurisdictions have also relied on more subjective tools, so generalized zoning requirements to achieve overall compatibility and a preferred aesthetic. And the final piece I want to read, because I think it's really pretty spot on, this document says, the development of objective standards is one of the most critical updates that a local jurisdiction can undertake to facilitate housing and ensure that future development achieves desired community goals, end quote. So it's really my sincerest hope that the town of Caroline can continue its very good work in crafting a useful zoning law. And I'm urging you tonight to have a final review of this document with an eye towards eliminating whatever subjectivity possibly remains in the draft. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And Bruce Murray here at the town hall.
Yep, I just wanted to congratulate you all on the election. And I came to talk to you, but I talked to you before the meeting about training.
Oh,
And I want to go listen to this. Thank you.
thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to the meeting. And so start with the highway superintendent's report, who is here tonight.
Not too much. You should receive a CHIPS reimbursement check by right around Christmas week. We got the notice, and that's when everything was gonna be sent out, so you should just keep an eye out for it then, so they wanna get everything out by the end of the year. We did take delivery of the new 4500 and delivered that to MDI in Auburn for the outfit, for the box, salt, and bottling, and all that stuff. And we probably won't, it'll be a couple more months before we see it back, so. Other than that, I started a couple of projects. Trying to get ahead of the game a little bit. We started a couple of projects that are gonna take place next spring. a couple bunch of trees and brush and stuff on Baylor Road. And weather depending, we've got a pretty quite to change out. Well, so. See how the weather plays out.
On what road?
Well, green. That's it.
Weather's pretty good so far.
Any questions for Bob? Great, thanks, Bob. Dan sent us report, Dan Klein sent his county legislators report today. It was very brief, and just said that they are, the county legislature and others are working on the rapid emergencies response plan and determining the funding mechanism for that. So that's an active discussion. I don't know if you saw his email, but that was pretty much his report.
Mark, is that on the TCOG agenda for tomorrow also?
I don't know if it's on the agenda. I think it'll be a discussion item. Good. So, yeah. And can't remember there's a shared services panel will be meeting for their final time next week, and that'll be a discussion then too. So, and Dan pointed both of those out. Okay, so we'll move on to committee reports.
Something short and easy. Cemeteries. There was a family that did some work over in Central Chapel and would like to make a donation for maintenance and upkeep of that cemetery, but I've got to call into Division of Cemeteries and Department of State to see how that would be handled, and wonder from your point to just accounting on it, or if they should we should come up with some projects, just get it spent. Something.
I think that's okay. I think about it some more. I think it's okay. They want to.
Yeah, they just, they said they'd like to make a donation for maintenance and upkeep, but I don't want to create a
There's no specific.
fund now, and just to make it, I think it might better just.
Or is there a specific issue that we need to address?
Not really. Well, they fixed up the grandparent stones, and I've been trying to talk up some of these other abandoned cemeteries, survivors, and just how we would have, if people are willing to donate money, just how, if we just handle it outside the town's budget, or not outside, but.
There's a line for donations. I mean, how you direct it to that.
Yeah.
Thing.
And these are just the towns,
They're the ones that are
the
under
ones that are under the towns.
town's care
Right.
and maintenance. So,
And there's okay. There are a couple little things that ought to be done there, right?
yeah, more than a couple.
Okay.
So, but this was just a few days ago, and I put in a call to Division of Cemeteries and haven't heard back from them.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So, and I just wanted to check,
What the
anybody
process-
on the board had any ideas about how we. Without it getting lost in the,
Mhm.
maybe one thing leads to another. We have an annual meeting at the Brooktondale Cemetery on this Sunday at 2:00.
Mhm.
Brooktondale Fire Hall. Everybody's interested?
Great.
That's it for me.
Okay. Thanks, Cal. It's great. Yeah. I'll get back to you on the
Okay, good.
county.
I mentioned that Kelly Verity wrote me asking about the time schedule for the Coddington Road thing, and I just replied. I
Okay.
replied that the last time it took about a year to get the whole thing through. That's
Right.
pretty much what we can do.
Yeah.
Great.
Um,
Any other thoughts, Bob, about that? She was asking about the timeline for when we submit a speed limit study.
For doing a speed study on Coddington Road.
That's at the state, it's all
It takes,
Yeah,
it
year,
takes
year
a
and a
while,
half.
yeah.
So how long it takes down.
We've got a speed limit sign that works.
What's that?
We've got a speed limit sign that works.
On another topic or tangential.
Yeah, I'm just being a smart ass.
We know.
I don't think she'll be surprised to hear that. I told her it was gonna be about that.
Yeah, she's just
She's just,
being
Gotcha.
active,
yes, yes.
which I appreciate.
Did you want to say something about the broadband? Did you get something from Ryan on Friday?
Sure, no,
Yeah.
but I did, Tim asked about that, so, Kate and I did meet with Ryan Garrison, whose point on the Hunt Engineering, he presented here on their study, so he said he expected to tweak it a little bit and give the final report to us soon. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
He reported that on keeping an eye on what the state is doing could influence things. And then,
Funding, and, yeah, so we're waiting on some information from him too.
yeah.
So,
that's right.
yeah, and I'll go over it and hopefully move forward. We'll see.
And I'm pretty sure, Mark, right, that we need to specifically commit to all of our ARPA funds by the end of 2024, is that
That's
right?
Okay,
So we just have to really keep
So
that.
we have.
yeah, I mean, we're still thinking about, moving out from Yellow Barn, but as I said, there are a couple things up in the air, but.
That was in the county grant, that's, we have money from the county grant,
Right,
and we did, make that, commitment for our town ARPA funds. So we do have a pretty good plan, and Ryan did ask about that, so that'll probably be the next point of discussion,
I guess the Safe Streets for All with the Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council had a kickoff meeting. And it's gonna take forever. Sorry, it's frustrating. And so they're gonna write the plan, but it's not gonna be done for like over a year and something, and then we'll have to get the plan and then we can apply for funds. So it's, it's forever. They're gonna be meeting with the different municipalities in the spring, just a couple times. So I guess, I'm envisioning trying to get interested committee to meet separately from them and come up with some ideas that think I can give to them. So, so that's where we are with that. So hopeful, but it's just frustrating that it just takes so much time, so.
but you knew that was the process.
I
so
knew,
that's
I
fine.
know, I just always hope it's gonna be faster, so.
Great,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
thank you. Is that it for committee reports? We'll move on. So,
And then
oh,
just the ARPA funds then will all go to broadband. We wouldn't save any aside for this countywide municipal. Because they're starting to talk about that and in Dan's report, just how
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, trying to kind of mesh those, because,
what?
he's
Are
talking
you
about the
talking-
municipal, you're talking about the reaching out to the people that don't have any service through the county funds, right?
No, he's
no,
talking
he's
Oh, sorry.
talking about
I'm talking about
emergency
the
response.
emergency
okay.
response and, if we save any ARPA funds to go towards helping get that kick-started or,
Well,
I don't know, I just,
so for the, for helping it get started, I'm glad you asked that question or made that, recommendation, but for the pilot year, that's pretty much covered.
Okay.
The county's budgeted for it and we've applied for a shared services grant and the name of it, for the vehicles, we submitted a separate grant. The county has.
okay.
So, So that part's covered. And as I mentioned, and from Dan's report, how it's gonna be funded after that is under consideration.
That's a little
It
more
ranges
here.
from just being covered by the county to some kind of a cost share. And
And I would expect there'd be some sort of cost share. But I don't know.
I don't know,
Yeah, it's,
I'm keeping my mind open about it. I think it makes sense as a county program. Funded by the
Yeah,
county,
yeah.
that's what I think. It doesn't, that doesn't mean that Caroline taxpayers don't pay for it, it means they pay for it through their county taxes,
yeah,
so,
exactly.
I think that makes a lot of sense, so.
Yeah, because the county's just got a lot.
It
bigger
doesn't,
pot to work
it doesn't replace, supplant, substitute for existing or services, so it actually, you know, there are needs in every part of the county.
Yeah,
that this will serve.
and they've got the administrative network that it's gonna require.
But I'm saying it's gonna support first response throughout the county.
Yes,
And so,
it will be a countywide initiative.
and some parts of the county have, on average, shorter response times, they have higher populations, so this covers,
Shorter drive times, yeah.
when one agency's drawn off, then this is there to provide support, so. We'll see, it's gonna be actively discussed and. I'm, overall, the statements that I've heard from the county legislators are really great.
Positive.
Really positive, yeah.
No, I think everybody realizes that there's a huge need
Yeah,
there.
and they realize how important this is, how needed this is. Sector. All right. Great, so move on to the discussion of the highway facilities project. So I'll just start that. We've got the report. The draft report. Exactly, it's the draft report from Labella. I did let them know, let David Kay know that we wanted to talk about it, and we thought that the cost was pretty high, and that and he was, that's when he mentioned that it is a draft report and it's an ongoing process, and suggested that we would have a meeting soon to compare notes and give them some feedback. So I wanted to start by mentioning that context of where we're at. I don't expect us to figure it out tonight. That's not what I was thinking. What I'd like to do is make a plan to engage with Labella to go back. So, and I you've all had a chance to look at it now, so I'm interested in what you think.
I mean, we haven't had a chance as a board to sit down with Labella since even well before this was finally articulated. So I think a further conversation will be really, really helpful. I would like to talk with them. From my perspective, they provided us with a really extensive report that helps us understand how well we could use that site. But it does look to me like the scale of what I guess we've asked of them is really pushing the cost way out of the orbit. So I think one of the things that I'd like to talk to them about all of this is how would you scale this down to make this a viable project for public funding, for our public funding. And that would just mean going through some of the sections, I think, with them to better understand they're thinking about this. And I just don't know, but I would imagine it looks to me like square footage really is a major player in this.
Yeah.
And how a lot of this gets figured. And And realistically, probably we're gonna have to cut down the square footage to make this happen. So that's something we should all probably start thinking about together.
Is there some practical way to come up, this is what the town can afford, give us the most?
Yeah,
You know, the town can reasonably afford, I mean, there's this back and forth, well, you know, but what can the town bond for, borrow? You know, what is a reasonable figure for a town of this size with these miles, with this population, this tax, you know, here's a reasonable figure. Yeah,
I think that's,
well, and now that we're able to be at this stage, I mean, it might be the time for Mark to start contacting a bond agent so that we can have these kinds of practical.
I mean,
I mean, what are the interest on bonds right now? I have no idea.
Well, you know, it just depends too,
Right.
because it all depends on,
I think it's
I
right.
mean, one of the things that struck me in their draft language was their lack of confidence in our ability to bring in substantial outside grants. Which was really like throwing cold water on the plate. So I had anticipated personally that probably we would have been able to do better than that.
I think we would on some, but some we knew we were gonna take it off the table.
Yeah,
There's grants for getting out of the flood zone. We put ourselves away from that, we stuck ourselves to that piece, so we, right up front, we took ourselves out of that one.
well,
And there's some others, so.
I mean, I'm not so sure that I would agree with that logic, but the fact of the matter is that the availability of grants for this kind of a project don't seem to be as robust as I hoped they would be. But that's something that we just gotta take into consideration.
Well, that too,
maybe,
But there might be more. You know.
Bob, would you mind coming up here? My hearing's going to hell, just so I can hear you better.
I can talk louder.
Okay, if you would.
throw your voice.
What about some of the crew doing some of the work, like demolishing that Quonset hut? You know,
So
or are you so,
we may not have a choice. That might be down before you know it, so we may have to.
yeah, but even if Mother Nature takes it down for you, you gotta clean it up.
I have a couple things in mind, kind of go back a couple more steps. I'm gonna say something I said a year ago, but I'm just bringing it back up, since we are putting this back out, kind of on the table of how to cheapen some things up. We also talked about building on a piece of land that has nothing. Starting from scratch. We stuck ourselves to this piece of property, but we're doing so, we also are sticking ourselves with a lot of demo costs. We have to tear the old building down, we gotta tear the other building down.
We'd have the same demo costs, even if you started from scratch somewhere else.
How would we?
You're just gonna leave it standing there.
No, why don't you put it back on the tax roll?
Well, the fact of the matter is we had
What I'm
a
saying is
we had a consultant and their cost estimates is that it was going to be more expensive to do this project starting from scratch than it would on the current site.
I can guarantee you that you would shave money off it if you didn't build a retaining wall back in the current building.
Maybe we won't have to do that.
Well, there isn't a plan on there that doesn't show a retaining wall because you gotta move the driveway to the upper level.
So anyway, that's getting,
But what I'm saying is why don't we open that up and evaluate that? I mean, if we could save another $500,000 in renovation or demolition costs, then why wouldn't we? And I'm just throwing that number out there. I don't even know what that number is, but we haven't even seen what we could say possibly save there.
So, you know, I haven't, so I think, so we've gotten this initial report
part of a process.
from Labella, so I want to circle back with them
Yeah.
and dig in on this
Well, I do
to
too.
see.
Well, I want to work to them a little more on the table. And me and Mark, we've already had this.
Is reconsidering the site on the table or not?
No, not from my perspective.
Because when we first started it, I thought that there was this a new public works facility if it was out of that area. That was my understanding, maybe incorrect.
I don't remember that being any part of our decision-making
I never
process.
heard
I do remember that as a board, we made this decision.
Correct,
Um,
we did.
Right, but nothing is, I guess, my point is nothing has been etched in stone. I mean, we're just in the informational stages of this whole thing, so why not put it all out there on the table? Find out what our best option actually is.
I'm repeating myself. I think it's prudent for us now that we have this initial report from Abella to circle back to them to say the town board and the highway superintendent, feel like this number is too high. We'll do things like, give them a number as Cal suggested, based on comparables.
Yeah.
And say, what can we do? This loosened our teeth. We want to talk to you about, what we can do here.
Yeah,
So,
no, I just want to know if reconsidering the site is,
I would say at this point not, let's see what they can do.
okay,
So chose the site. Move forward where it is. I never heard about the 75% covered by the state of the city site. That's the first I've heard of it.
so
So,
if it was dug into, may have been invalid, but, I just remember initially, seeing, wow, if we got, right there away from right next to the creek, if the state would pick up 75% of the, that's why I went off in search of,
search of what?
search of a place where we could put a highway facility, just kind of on my own, but, as a, there's the gravel pit, there's Creamery Road, whatever, I just, but, I think we should definitely give, find out what a reasonable, we should count the cost. What this town can reasonably
Get a better number that we can provide them.
provide them and, here's what we want, here's what we need, here's what we can afford, can we somehow, and, if the crew can do some of the work.
But we might have to have a smaller building.
Yeah, that too. Or, we might be, I made some notes, maybe we just put an addition on the far end. New well, put a cover over the existing fueling station and.
I mean, if you're gonna knock it down and build the same size you got now, I wouldn't waste your time or your money. I would just throw some money at it,
Sure. So,
Yeah,
These are all things that we need to discuss.
exactly.
right.
right, which brings me to my other, again, I hadn't talked to Mark about this the other day, but as you said, we haven't had a chance to talk, and it's been quite a while.
Well, because we were waiting for the report.
But we're also gonna have some working meetings.
We did. Remember we met with Lavella. With this twice. And I
We
was
haven't
there.
even done some stuff that kind of we need to do is that early. I mean, we just kind of went to Lavella with just huge platter. Said, oh, you tell us what we need, there it is. That's
Well,
why
as
our-
I recall, they
that's why our-
asked,
our numbers-
they have asked you questions. And in fact, they did ask you to deliver a questionnaire, which in the report it says hasn't happened yet. So I think that, let's just do that. Get that done. There's no need, this should be teamwork. It should be a team project.
So. Again, I think we should go to them with a little more information this time.
No,
Because we're there with what we can afford or what, some remotely close to some kind of a budget.
Well,
Not
right.
when they're just open-minded to,
And that's what Cal suggested. I agree with
this
that.
crazy number, this is what we can do, and
Right.
if it's over that, then it's been nice working.
Well, I mean, I have to say that when Labella gave us their proposal. The figures for the buildings that they gave us as indicators of what they would do. Mostly were much lower than this. So
Yeah, the numbers.
I went,
Yes.
I was operating on, within that spectrum of what they gave us. I think we need to go back to them and say, hey,
Mhm.
there's this spectrum over here, there's this spectrum here. How much of it, I mean, I did notice that they've included absolutely everything on the candy list.
Yeah,
So how much of that is a factor or not? I just don't know.
I
We
think
didn't make the candy list very big, I can tell you that. It's getting down pretty good. We trimmed a lot of stuff right out of it.
At any rate, I think,
yeah, just here's what we can afford.
Yeah.
How do
But
we-
we're also trying to build a 50-year building. So
Well, maybe we need to find out if we can afford to do that or not.
Right.
Maybe we won't be able to afford to build a 50-year building.
these are all things to,
Or maybe we could,
we gotta build, what I'm saying is you gotta build. You can't take a note out for however many years and then the building will be junk before the note's even paid for, so.
We wouldn't do that.
I mean, but that's, what I'm saying is you. What's your municipal loan gonna be? Are we just building a get by building or we're building the next building for the 50 years?
well,
But to bring up some back history, our current building now
it's 50
is
years.
supposed to be one bay longer. And above the office in the break room was supposed to be another story. During construction, you run out of money. It was, all right, we're done, here it is. So,
We're trying not to do that. We're trying not to do
I
that.
don't wanna repeat that same thing.
We're trying not to do
Well-
that, but we have, but you know, there are realities. So we have to figure out what the breaking point is
Right,
and how to operate it within it. And that's why I would like to meet with Abella. You know, and put these questions.
so would people, be willing, be able to meet like next week? Could I propose some time?
I'll meet Christmas Day if they want to meet.
I can only meet.
I mean, I'm assuming they won't
I
want.
can only meet Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think.
Thursday.
I think that's a safe.
Say that again,
I
please.
could only meet Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Those are for next week.
Next week, I'm pretty open.
I'm open.
So I think maybe, well, I'll see if they can come, if
Yeah.
not, on Zoom or whatever, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday. We do like morning or something, or,
doesn't matter.
okay, I'll call David and see what he says, so.
Guys,
Question?
just a quick question.
Yeah.
For this project, do are grants contingent on, like, I'm gonna build a 50-year building versus,
I don't know, I don't know enough
I just
about,
wasn't sure, I just.
No, we don't know.
I would think they might be.
Yeah.
Bonding is
Okay,
contingent on whether it's masonry.
the terms of the bonding.
Yeah,
okay.
because if it's a, you know,
yeah,
if it's a masonry building, they'll let you go out 50 years. If it's a post and beam tin like the fire hall, they'll only let you go 35. That I know.
yeah, I was thinking it must be something, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I wanna, I wanna ask them more about the granting, I just dismiss it as like, oh, well, I guess we can't get grants.
Right.
So.
Right.
And then,
And you will recall when we interviewed them, they were very optimistic about how they could help us achieve
Like
grants.
grants, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
$2 million on a $5 million barn is one thing, and $2 million on a $15 million barn is another. And I don't know if the grants are, you know, we'll give you, or you'll
Percentage.
grant you this amount of money and,
So these are good questions that we can
Yeah.
ask them.
and
okay, and would like a morning time be better than, or it doesn't matter?
Whenever they can do it.
now I know the fire hall, they built that, they have their cost by doing a lot of work themselves, but that's not permitted.
Is that right? So I did want to mention that, last week, Rod Howe held a, sort of I sent you guys notice of it. It was a meeting for sustainability
Right.
efforts of committees like REIC and stuff. So I went to that and, so Terry Carroll reminded me that they have this business energy advisors program where they advise businesses and then municipalities on capital buildings. Anyway, I met the next day with Haley Delisle, which is the sustainability person who is the BEA advisor, and talked about it. So and I ended up I mentioned the highway facility and the town hall that were doing these 2 projects, and so she inquired whether we could apply for both of them, and got back and said yes. So we this is a service, it doesn't cost anything, it's funded by grant money. So there are 2 engineering firms that do this. So she sent me the application, and I asked her if this is too early in the process to engage on this, and she said, no, this is probably when you should do it. I will inquire more about those 2 engineering firms and I guess put an application in for us. So I think and so this is because we did have that in the agreement with Labella, that they would that Terry Carroll was listed as the contact for exploring energy efficiency measures that we could employ. So they'll give us a list of options and then we could feed that to our engineering firm. So. Meant to mention that earlier. Great, so okay, so I will inquire about one of those 3 days next week for meeting with the
There was a service truck here today, where they do this cameras.
yeah, they got them in at the new town hall.
Good.
And they'll be finishing here tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah, they were great. Did a nice job. Okay, so great, thanks everybody, yeah.
Are we gonna hear about the egg meeting last week? Was that, there was something I missed last week, totally off.
Yeah, I mean, I would put that in my supervisor's report next time, but I can mention it briefly, it seems today. Yeah.
If you humor me on that. I
Yeah.
feel bad that I missed it, but just totally don't forget.
Sure, I'll give a brief update on that.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll do that after,
Yeah.
after our zoning discussion in there. So,
One more thing on committees. I'm not committees, I guess, where you go. Can we buy a regular under the flag light for out there? Gotta do something with that light side of it.
yeah, I saw that too. I was actually gonna take it down and get a different bulb or something, but whatever you.
We should, that actually goes underneath it, shines off.
What do you think, Scott?
That one's banging right out in the 79.
Yeah, Matt Mix mentioned it last time, and then I looked at it later, and it's really bright.
Yeah. That solar light that I had didn't work so good, somebody stole it.
God.
They snipped the wires, and
It worked.
well, they left the light, they took the little,
Solar panel.
Really?
little solar panel.
So
Give me a break.
That was pathetic.
I would think we can get a little ground mounted, or should we?
We should get something that's just hardwired.
Yeah, you can't steal hardware.
Good.
You can, but
Well, but then they didn't take the light, they took the
Solar.
Little solar panel.
Yeah. There's no. That's a flood,
Okay.
that's a floodlight, not a spotlight.
It does flood.
Yeah, flood, since Matt mentioned it the last meeting, I noticed at night, yeah. And there's no readjustment.
That's
Like my neighbor's backyard,
Could it just be a
shines through my house.
smaller, lighter bulb or something?
But it does light the flag up nice.
I mean, the flag could be taken down, sun goes down.
Yeah, right.
So that doesn't happen, Kate?
It doesn't happen, Council Supervisor?
No.
And then we fold it properly and take.
That's right.
Exactly.
So.
So,
I'll see if can I talk to Danny Barnes about doing it.
That's fine. So what,
Is that cool? I get it done next month.
Well, should we get an estimate and,
I don't know, I just, whatever.
yeah,
because a reasonable number or whatever, but.
If Danny charged,
I mean, it's not a big deal, right?
Danny would charge too much to do it, it's not like you're running a million miles of wires,
Yeah.
a little piece of wire from here to there. Like,
I'll donate the parts, if you'll do the labor. No, just whatever.
Okay.
Christmas present to the.
we can get it done, we can get that done.
It's a town hall expense.
Yeah.
That's a donation, right? We'll have to figure out.
Whatever,
we'll have to
yeah.
Figure out how to do that. Okay, so, we'll work on that.
Okay.
So you're taking point on that, Cal?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Done by the end of the year.
Okay, that's great. So that moves to the discussion of the Caroline History Room operation. And so I guess, Michelle, do you want to introduce this topic? And what the thinking is or the discussion?
Well, I guess there's been some questions and discussion about staffing for the history room. And so I was proposing that it would be a good idea to create a committee that would serve to basically assist the history room on assessing, and developing what needs that they actually had as far as collections, staffing. And it would be kind of a way to communicate with the town board. So I would suggest having 2 town board members, the historians, and then a couple of interested people from the community to serve on this with this group. So really a way to improve services and communication with the history room.
Great, okay. Any thoughts?
I mean, I think that that's a great idea, there just seem to be some communicational missed opportunities, both within the history room staffing and also in relationship to the Caroline History Group, which I just think is amazing things, so. if we
They
just-
have a lot of energy.
Yeah,
so
it'd be great if we
that's
could,
fine.
if nothing else, bring these 2 entities into formal conversation with each other, even if it were only that. But I think, to be able to take a good look, I doubt this has ever been done by the town before. Because it's been done more kind of
I don't know.
ad hoc and by the historian, right? Probably. So maybe this is a good time to do it.
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of been done on the fly and.
Do you think, has there ever been a history committee like that? Been a lot of committees in the past, I wouldn't be surprised, but.
I don't recall. It seems like it's just kind of been Barb and
Right.
Jennifer.
Mhm.
And, then Shuley started doing some contractual work last year.
Do you think this is a good idea? Of a committee?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so
In the sense of just moving things along.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of,
I think it can only be a positive thing, and I did speak to Barb about it, and she was amenable to it, so. Yeah, I think a good thing,
Oh, that's good.
just
so,
don't get too big a committee.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, so that's,
Yeah, I'm suggesting just 6 people, so
could be 5 or 6, right? So,
that's what I'm suggesting.
and they can meet as often as they want, could be like 4 times a year or whatever, twice a year, I don't know. Twice a year might be too few, but it's just, I think there would be enthusiasm for this, so.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So why don't we put that, formalize that by resolution at our next business meeting? Great. Any other thoughts about that? Great, thanks, Michelle. Sounds good. All right, move on to the discussion of the zoning law and so, yeah, just trying to pull things together. So, just to let everybody know, so, our attorney, he updated or really revised articles, 10 and 11. Those are administrative chapters and the ZBA chapter. So, I think you've all gotten those right and just look at them. And I didn't have anything to add. I thought they were really, really clean, really great.
I thought it was a really good improvement, you know, it kind of tightened things up and brought it into line with other things that we're doing, so I thought it was helpful.
Great, and he did ask us some questions about that we have to decide on. And one question was, do we want to have an 18-month time limit for variances? If they don't start within 18 months, then they're expired.
I think yes.
Yes.
I agree. Okay,
Yes, I agree.
I mean,
Michelle?
18 months, 24 months, or whatever, but there should be a time limit.
okay.
It can't go on forever.
He
Yeah,
suggested-
I agree with that.
Okay, super. That's unanimous. And then the other question he had for us was,
At 18 months,
at 18 months, that's what he penned, and I'm
I
comfortable with that. That's a year and a half, so.
that's a full year, and then
Year and a half, and then if
they can come back.
They can
in.
come back.
Think about it. Yeah,
Great, thank you. His other ask was whether we wanted to have a signage notice requirement for variances. And I think that's a good
I
idea.
think that's a good idea. So like the signs I've seen, like, you know, this property is gonna be,
Correct.
you know. Yeah, so it's like a notice in the paper, a notice where,
When is the last time you picked up a local paper?
no, I know, that's why I'm asking. But I'm just thinking, you know, I've seen these notices like in town somewhere, and it's not like I'm gonna be walking by
Yeah,
a
no,
building way out, you
So-
know, and even know it, you know, even if it's posted, so
So the,
yeah, no,
how do we?
there will be a requirement for posting in the town's, whatever you call it, newspaper.
official newspaper.
But this would be, this is a physical notice requirement at the site.
that's
Yeah.
what I,
I interpreted
That's
it.
what I was
Just a
thinking.
stake with a notice, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay,
I think that makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because most importantly, it informs the immediate neighbors,
the immediate neighbors.
yeah,
you
it's
know,
true.
those are the people who are gonna see this. And
Yeah.
I've noticed around the county and elsewhere, this seems to be a very common practice.
It is. Bruce, question?
Is there a list of, like, if variances are going on, is there a list at the town hall of these things?
A list of where they're posted.
Yeah, or just a list of, this is what's gonna happen, this is the variance that's been granted for this site. Is there,
Or requested for,
yeah, is there, if it's gonna be posted on site, I'm just wondering if there is anything like with the building inspector, is there in his office a list of these where somebody can say, I wanna find out what's going on, I can go there and say, okay, there's 3 variances, this is happening.
Yes, is the answer to that. I'm not sure exactly.
Well, and that's something that we could always
Yeah.
Well, I just.
improve.
that
Like,
might be-
I think it'd be a really good idea
I
to
think
have
that's a good idea.
an ongoing list of variances publicly visible somewhere.
Or on the
On the
town,
bullet
or
board.
on the website.
On the website.
I think so too.
Yeah.
My
Absolutely.
Got the town website,
expectation,
a list at the town hall.
my expectation is that the list would be really small.
Yeah.
If it's not really small, then you have to rework your zoning law. So. So.
That's true.
So,
who's
yeah.
gonna do it?
Pardon me?
Who's gonna put the signs in the ground? No, just, you know, just that nuts and bolts.
The zoning officer.
Yeah, it would
Okay.
be, or
Yeah,
the,
that's
it would be the zoning officer.
the size of the sign, and if, you know,
Yeah.
that they will be checked, that they're,
Yeah.
that they, I mean, I had a sign posted in my property for, you know, tax sale because somebody forgot to pay some taxes. It blew over, but luckily somebody noticed it.
So I guess it doesn't matter, so you have to sign it.
Well, no, is it that, you know, somebody's checking that it's there and,
Yeah,
it's posted and up, and I'm just saying, you know, I'm just using my experience is because there was a sign that was posted and blew over because it was.
Yeah.
Or got hit by a snowplow or the stuff coming off a wing and.
So,
Snow covered stuff.
so Guy offered to insert these elements for us.
Yeah.
And I'm
Good.
guessing he's gonna have,
Language.
provisions and we can examine that, so. That'll be good. Okay, good. So I wanted to mention those. And so then, really so I'll just go through things I've noticed that I wanted to make sure that we're in agreement on. So, I had put forward the, industrial cottage industry at George Francis' recommendation. But that's really a substitute for the, light industrial category that the zoning commission already had, so I'm recommended that we not include that one. I don't think it adds much. Is that agreeable with folks?
Yeah, it just seemed kind of redundant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I had it in the notes for the last meeting, but I'll note that, in response to George's review, we did add a definition for commercial horse boarding operations as agricultural operation. Revised farm stand, separated and revised greenhouse and nursery definitions. I believe we agreed that the, in Article 5, ag buffer, providing a buffer to ag would be mandatory. So that's been moved to, revised and moved to 5.2 point A. Then the other question I had for you is 9.1C, which regards non-conforming undersized lots and the allowance for one subdivision of those, that they would be allowed, if they met the health department requirements, one residential structure, and the language here is what I'm asking about, accessory structures or one accessory structure. I'm proposing it be accessory structures. Because that's a parallel with the other language in the law for a normal lot.
I think plural is good. Unless we want to talk about how big they're allowed to be or something, I don't know. How much land coverage,
Mhm.
I don't, we don't have that together.
Yeah, we're not,
I don't think that's
Okay.
necessary. I think structures is good.
okay.
You can have a garage and a chicken.
Michelle?
No, I agree with that.
Okay. Cal, you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. This is a little wonky change, also in response to George Prince. 6.5.2.A.2. It's in regard to accessory structures as dwellings. And I believe those are, get ASPR. But for farm worker housing, those are permitted. That's a right. So I added that parenthetically.
Okay,
Okay,
That's
I
what you
think
put out
that
in
was
your
always
email, right?
understood.
that was always understood.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I just clarified
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I edited both solar energy and wind energy definitions to note that for farm operations, if they are generating 110% or less of farm needs, they're considered an on-farm building. So that's just complying with ag and markets stuff. So that's now in there. I edited the junk 6.5.9, which regards junk and,
Mhm.
refuse and things like that. And so, and it simply says that the BEC regulates solid waste, is what I'm trying to think of. So DC regulate and the Tompkins County Department of Solid Waste operates, manages solid waste locally. So, and then the second part is just referring to the state, that it's the junkyard regulation that if you have more than 2 unlicensed vehicles, that's a junkyard, requires licensing. So that's for the junkyard ordinance. So I will put that. It's a very brief chapter that just describes that, but it's not a regulatory part of the zoning law. It's just sort of a note.
Right, okay.
In the definition of zoning officer, I noticed that there's a second sentence that said something like, this could also be the code enforcement officer. So I would suggest eliminating that sentence. I don't see any reason for it. It's
Okay.
if it's the code enforcement officer, that's fine. It's also the zoning. So, okay, so I'll delete that. Thank you. And then I wanted to ask you, Tim, you had noted 5.3.G.2 minor storage or recreational.
That's in the stream overlay.
Okay, yeah.
And so the current language is that minor, it's what's allowed. It's in one of those sections, of what's allowed. And
Correct.
currently it says minor recreational structures or surfaces. And I would like to add minor storage or recreational structures or surfaces. We have a 10 by 10 template anyway, so seems, I don't understand. It would seem to me reasonable that somebody could, for example, put a storage hut on that same template toward the same purpose. So I'd just like to add that for clarity.
Okay, and then later on it says concrete slabs or sheds. You had that language.
Yeah, and then I said small concrete slabs or sheds, so I added or sheds.
Okay. And it's still 10 by 10 or?
Yeah,
I have a question.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Is there a definition of a minor building?
good question. Probably not. I bet not. Let's see.
How many of these minor sheds are allowed? Just wondering.
I mean, that seems kind of ambiguous to me. Or not clear, anyway.
Ambiguous.
I mean, I think that minor shed is determined by the 10 by 10.
Okay, I mean, I guess I would stipulate that, put in parentheses, or something.
I
think it actually says that in the full language, Michelle. I'm sorry
Okay.
that I just don't have the revised law.
Okay,
Okay.
up on
we'll
my
make
phone.
sure it does.
I don't have it in front of me either, so, okay.
Sure it does.
Which section is it?
5.3.G.2.
What I sent you guys, I just had tons of ellipses, so I didn't have to write out the whole paragraph, but I'm pretty sure it does.
Does that say single story or?
No.
Say-
Less than 40 feet.
Yeah, it could be higher than 40 feet. The diving platform.
You're still gonna take out meets and bounds?
We approved that already, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to. Can we do away with he/she's and just put they?
Throughout.
Yep.
How many are there?
I don't know. Too many, one's too many.
I like he/she's better than they.
Okay,
Swear to God, it's the same to me. I mean, in the long
I
run.
would recommend doing that in the next revision of the zoning law.
Okay,
What did you ask for?
Pronouns,
pronouns, I don't like the he slash she, just say they,
Okay.
myself.
Hmm.
I don't know,
I mean,
I just
technically-
bristle at it.
They is
Really?
more sensitive to a broader substrate of citizens.
That is.
The in between, or.
But
Yeah,
that would
although,
be
yeah.
a lot of heavy editing. at this
I
point.
hate how
Is that the word?
inaccurate it is.
I didn't really notice it that much, but.
Yeah, I don't notice the he, she.
It's like a sort of fingernail to me.
It's in my field of bailiwick, so I notice it all the time.
Well, anyway,
So let's leave it as is.
okay.
That's okay, Cal.
I'd be fine. Anyway,
And then I sent just a couple of small editing things, Mark, that we don't need to go into,
Okay,
like font corrections.
yeah,
Got those.
you know, actually, I looked for those and they weren't in my copy, so I think it might be in your copy,
Could
but
be in my
I'll
copy.
make sure,
Okay.
yeah.
One question I've got penned in thing, like when the review board meets to go over things, and they vote, is it by the majority vote of the members present? Or do you allow proxy voting if somebody can't be there, is on vacation, out of town? Or is the vote settled by majority of the people present at the meeting?
I think it has to be just like the town board operates. So a 5-member review board, is that the one you're asking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
As long as you're,
the majority would always be 3.
yeah, but as long as somebody is signed in, it's.
So if you had a 3-member ZBA, it would be 2.
Oh,
Yeah, but no, but you can't like, okay, I can't be at the meeting, so, but I know
Well,
this is coming up. and-
The ZBA actually has a standby member that's written in the language.
mhm.
And so if someone weren't able to come, the chair of the ZBA could
Could call in the
Could call.
alternate.
would call in the alternate
Yeah.
for that meeting, yeah.
I don't think. I think this would be governed by town law.
Just
I mean,
checking.
I don't think, my own gut feeling is that proxy voting would be not a great idea.
I agree. I just want
Right,
to,
no proxy voting, but that's different from having the designated alternate
Yeah,
participate in the meeting as a designated alternate who has all the training
that's good.
and follows all the meetings.
I didn't know that or missed that, or
That's in there.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
while you're looking, I want to mention, I noticed that and I couldn't remember if it needed to be in there still or not, but there's a definition for economic impact assessment. And
I thought we were gonna take that out.
of even the definitions, right? So,
Well, we took out economic impact assessment out of the
Right.
zoning law. so
Exactly.
Probably there's no need to have it in the definition.
I agree, I just wanted to
Okay.
check.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, if it's not used in the document, it doesn't make
Okay.
sense.
it should be out then.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Good catch.
and again, maybe I feel like I'm nitpicking, but under record keeping. It's, Article 8, it says public record inspection during normal business hours. Well, when I see normal business hours, I think 8 to 5, but I think it should read posted business hours. Because, we know that.
That's a good suggestion.
So oops. What's the section from? 9 point,
It's an 8, it's D, 10. I kind of working backwards here. Record keeping. Just before article. No, it's in article 10. Excuse me. Record keeping,
Article 10, Are you using guys updated?
I'm using this one.
It's not guys updated.
That's ancient, that's.
But I think that isn't guys. Just check.
Same wording,
So
okay.
if it says, let's just say posted hours.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you kept that kind of language.
Okay, good, thanks, Cal.
And also in that sentence zoning officer code. The zoning officer code enforcement officers shall periodically check. Be specific, is my note to myself. Shall quarterly. I don't know, just put a,
This is, so,
semi-annually, whatever.
Which are you referring to, Cal? Shall check what? What you referring to?
Shall periodically check all reports and plans to ensure that the appropriate action is taken. That's in that same paragraph on record keeping.
record keeping.
And just, you know.
Okay, so.
Again, just this ambiguity, you know, periodically, well. Periodically to me might be every 2 years.
So what is he checking?
I don't know, just that after zoning officer / code enforcement officers shall periodically, well, just quarterly,
Okay, so,
semi-annually.
What's going on?
so so record keeping, this is Article 10, is that right?
Yes,
Enforcement and administration. Record keeping and program review and reporting, is that right? Or is there a different one? Is it C?
D.
Yeah, but you're reading Guy's version. which
Yeah, so this
different.
is updated, so it's all records maintained by
Sure.
the zoning officer shall be kept in accordance with the rules of the New York State Archives and municipal document retention rules. The zoning officer shall annually submit to the town board a written report and summary of all significant business conducted by the zoning officer related to this zoning law, including annual updates as to all enforcement actions, zoning litigation, and appeals.
I want that quarterly. Annually is too long. I think it should be quarterly.
Or whatever, yeah. Yeah, I agree that annually is just, there should be an annual report at the end, but there should be something at least halfway through the year.
I mean, we have monthly
Mhm.
code officer reports.
Sometimes.
At least we should have quarterly zoning reports. There won't be that many. But in case there's something wonky going on, the board needs to know about it. Because if we wait a whole year, a lot of weird stuff can happen. Don't you agree? No.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I'm scratching my head about it, so I don't know. But I mean, I'm assuming that we will be able to follow zoning officer activities on a continual basis.
That's not what that says.
Ken just said you're gonna see it once a year.
That says once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, well, that's their report, but
Well,
anyway, quarterly is fine with me.
I think
Michelle,
at
are you
least-
okay with that? That seemed good,
Yeah, quarterly seems fine.
great, okay. Duly noted,
it's a minor correction.
yeah.
Yeah.
Request.
The review board will be pretty much on top of it too. though.
Yeah.
Right.
Through,
Yeah.
That's gonna help a lot.
I mean, when I drive down the road, I just, you know, I see a sign that says speed limit 40. You know, I just think these things should be very clear cut, you know, it may not happen, but speed limits.
Yeah, and you'll,
That's oversimplistic, but do we have any idea what it's gonna cost the town to implement?
Let's just finish the document first before we get into that.
That's kind
I
of
mean, so we don't get off.
off topic.
Just for now, just for the moment.
Yeah.
So do we have other corrections to make?
That's fine.
I finished mine that I've got for tonight that I found.
Michelle, do you have any?
No, I don't have anything.
And I think I'm all covered.
I'm covered. I am.
There's some discrepancies between what the comprehensive plan says and buffer setbacks, and I think they should just agree.
Comprehensive plans,
Yeah.
set buffer setbacks.
So,
So what are they?
50 feet.
In our comprehensive plan, it talks about setbacks.
Yeah. I just think they should agree.
Have to look at that.
Yeah.
That would be changing the comprehensive plan.
right,
Good catch.
yeah, I'm surprised they were that
I'm surprised that,
detailed.
yeah.
Yes, I think we've been pretty thoughtful about the buffers. I feel good about
We have.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like we finished our draft.
I think so.
Yeah.
So what I would, I'm waiting to hear from Cal because he hasn't said this thing.
I mean, I'm all for, here's a final draft that we're gonna present to the public for comment,
Correct.
Right.
and I think that's great.
Great.
I mean,
Okay.
I've got a few notes here. One of these is under uses and dimensions, church or religious use. Prohibited, Center Brooktondale. What if some religious organization wanted to use the Brooktondale Community Center for Sunday service? Is that gonna be prohibited? And, I think there's small things, that they just.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were done with the use table. I can
Yeah.
Go get my
and
document.
yeah, and that's why I'm hesitant to go back.
Well, if you, so,
Can I say something?
yes, you may.
First of all, I do think it's kind of late to keep going back to the use table. I'm just gonna say that. If I never see this use table again, it's gonna be too soon. But that aside, I mean, it's not like you're building a new building. If somebody just wants to use the community center on a random Sunday for a religious service, I don't see how that would even apply.
Fine,
No.
if we,
You're not changing the community center's name to the Church of the whatever, to,
Yeah,
yeah,
somebody's using it.
I mean, that follows on a similar logic, for example, to say the old Livery Building, which is a commercial building. So we're not gonna go dictate exactly what commercial use apartment 4 is used for. It's a commercial building, understand that, and it has special use, so it has that category,
So I don't, Cal, I think your fears are unfounded in that regard.
thank you. I hope they are. I just know that regulatory that I have had to deal with at times can get very nitpicky.
I think you should be more, you should probably be more worried about the Brooktondale Community Center Board.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good consideration, it's a good
Yeah,
consideration.
no, every time I read, but yeah, no, I I don't wanna be going back and back either.
Great, okay, so shall we say this is ready to put forward? Okay. What I would like to do is, so, you know, just for the public, I will work to get this revised and up on the website in the next couple days by the end of this week.
Great.
So people can see with a red line version and a clean version. The updated, what we're calling now the stream corridor overlay. The district map with the stream corridor overlay is up there now. So people should recognize that the extent of the boundaries are estimates. They're very, you know, it's a line next to the stream or along the stream on this map, but remember that those are measured in the field from the top of the stream bank outward. So anyway, that's already on the website, and so will be.
So Mark, I have a question about the website now.
Okay.
We're at this definitive point where we have a draft, the board is ready to present to the public. I'm now a little bit concerned about having all of the other stuff there somehow on the zoning commission's page. So I think what I recommend that we do is we archive on the website, the zoning commission's page, as an historical page with all of that information.
The page. Okay.
This page, and then on our front page, or on our homepage, we have at the very top a new box with a link to
That's
the
easy.
the final
So
draft.
it's really obvious.
So it's totally obvious, so people won't get confused. I think we
So
should
the
keep
older-
the historical documents on the zoning commission page.
I mean, that
You
makes
know what I'm
sense.
trying to say?
Yeah, I definitely see what you're trying to say, having all those, yeah, and it does make sense segregating it from the zoning commission page, since it's not, now it's the town board. Yeah,
And then people will read the right version for one thing.
Exactly.
I want people to read the right version. I really like I love the questions. You guys did such a good job answering all those questions. You know, they really help me get into the zoning law and understand where it was heading, you know, when you were working on it.
Well, they'll still be there, all
That
that's
would still be there. It
Yeah.
would just be,
It's on the zoning commission
it's on the, okay,
page.
page versus the front
Okay.
page. Okay.
that totally makes sense.
Tim, Mark and Michelle have been doing this for over
Oh, I
3
know.
years.
Yeah.
If they've been immersed in it,
She knows that, yeah.
It makes
well,
sense.
you,
Because this is what's pertinent now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what needs to be reviewed.
Right,
If you wanna go back and say.
Compare,
well,
yeah.
compare it,
Sure.
you have that option.
you can do that, right?
This is what needs to take.
To look at.
That's right.
Okay, so that's,
Okay.
so I will get that updated. We are working on the seeker review. So
Thank
I
you.
think we should, my hope is to have that ready for our review by the next meeting. And then we could schedule the public hearing at that meeting, which would put it necessarily a little over a month out from there, because you need to give 30 days for review by the interested agencies. So
are you seeing a need to extend the moratorium?
I am.
Oh.
Just by a couple months, probably, just to, I don't think we might not need that much time, but I don't want to rush things.
We're so close to getting this right.
Yeah.
That I agree, I think that I don't think we're gonna need it all frankly, but it well could be that we're gonna need a 2 to 4 week window to get this all tidied up.
Okay.
And also to leave ourselves time after the public hearing to make adjustments in response to public hearing. We want to have that done.
We would have that ability, so for sure. So that's, so, yeah,
Let's not rush it at this point. Just
And the reason that we're at this stage now is because we were waiting a little bit of time for legal review, and then to have Guy also revise the other tables, so we delayed things by a few weeks in order to do that. He recommended doing it. We thought it was a good idea. Otherwise, I think we'd be right on track.
maybe we're fine.
Probably.
I mean,
We're fine.
if everyone was arbitrary, we're, you know, we're within that, so. So we'll do that, or propose that. And then I did want to make a note, and I want to make sure it's in today's record that there's a typo in the resolution 101 of the 18th of August, where we did the seeker resolution. The wording should have been coordinated review. It was uncoordinated, so that is a coordinated review that we'll be doing with the interested agencies that were listed on that in their resolution, so. And then, any other questions about our next steps? Does that make sense? Have I covered everything or have I forgotten something?
So just to be clear, we're gonna put the final draft,
Together, so,
make it available to the public. The next meeting, we're gonna set the date for the public hearing.
After.
We're going to also make the seeker determination at the next meeting. Based on the documentation that we have, and just to add, Nan is helping us write that in relationship to the details of the zoning law. So what that means is there are like 12 or 15 boxes, each is a separate topic.
I shared it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah.
it was wonderful reading.
Everybody saw it when we did the seeker review for the comprehensive plan. It's
Comprehensive
exactly
plan.
the same, so, yeah. So, okay,
And then so then we have the public hearing after Christmas.
well,
In January.
way after Christmas.
Way after Christmas.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Now, will this seeker review qualify as a town environmental? Because in the comprehensive plan, it talked about having a town, instead of a seeker, but a town.
That's a different thing, Cal. That's a local law.
Okay,
A teaker.
seeker,
So that's an enhanced
seeker.
environmental review for some things. I forgot about it, but
It was recommended by the comprehensive plan. We've never done it.
Right, yeah, but I didn't know if this would somehow qualify,
No.
not at all. Okay,
no, I would have to go to school for that. That's about it. Okay, great, thank you. The other thing that I meant to add to the agenda is that Steve Nicholson is our representative to the Environmental Management Council. And the county let me know that he's applied for a renewed terms of 3 years. I remember appointing him last time, and I do not believe it was 3 years ago. It couldn't have been 3 years ago, but
No.
anyway, they told me it was. So it's time to reappoint him. So they need documentation, so I'll clear my throat and offer a resolution to appoint Steve Nicholson as the town's representative to the Environmental Management Council for a new 3-year term beginning January 1, 2024. Seconded by Cal. Any further discussion?
I remember us doing it about 3 years.
You have a better time.
No, I didn't
sense.
remember that.
I remember doing it. I just don't remember when.
Yeah.
I thought it was last week.
No, it wasn't that.
Okay, so with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you, everybody. So,
Save your voice, Michelle.
Yeah, yeah, speak
You
more,
and Jean.
speak more softly.
Gene also.
June 6th too?
Well, my voice is always like this now, so.
So, I'll offer approval of the minutes of November 1st and November 15th. We'll have a chance to look at those and. Okay, we look good.
Good.
Great, okay, so those are hereby approved. Agenda items for the November 20th business meeting. We just covered some of it. We'll be doing the seeker determination. I'll be
It'll
on.
be December.
Did I say something wrong?
You said November.
Oh, December 20th.
December.
Yeah, I meant December 20th. And I'll be doing the resolutions for contracts for fire departments and.
Yeah.
Also the resolution for 2023 employee wages and benefits, year-end transfers.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, while I'm thinking of it, can I ask another question about the public hearing?
No.
yes,
So just so we get this in advance, probably this room is gonna be too small for that. Or is it?
well, we can consider that, I think, yeah. So what do you think?
I mean, potentially the fire hall.
Or the Brooksdale Community Center.
Fire hall's better.
Post brighter.
I mean, we'd still want to do, so I can't remember with the zoning commission. Whether we were able to do virtual when we're doing the fire hall. Does anybody remember? I know we
I think-
videotaped it.
Didn't John
Yeah.
come in and set it up?
I think somebody said something.
We did it in the communities, that was the community center.
Yeah,
Oh, that was it?
yeah, that was. the
So
community
maybe we'll
center.
have to do it in the community center. That was a community
Well, at
center.
the community center, it was Gene's friend, I can't remember his name.
Right,
They
right.
came in and did it. And at the fire hall, John did one at the fire hall,
I thought John did it, yeah.
but John's not doing those, so.
But it wasn't at Speedsville, right? We didn't have it on Zoom. Speedsville.
I mean, does the fire hall, does anybody know if the fire hall has enough bandwidth to do it?
Gene would know.
I remember the fire hall could not be hybrid.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It could not be hybrid, okay. Hmm,
Well, now we have 2 weeks to look into this, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
yeah,
Because I also thought that in the meantime, we could also use the 2 weeks to try to get a reservation somewhere if we weren't gonna do it here. In advance.
Yeah.
So then we'll know that we'll be able to set the date. Instead of coming in here in 2 weeks, say, oh, we wanna do this date, but not have it in here.
Have a place.
okay. We'll have to look into that, I mean, I think. The Zoom the ability to Zoom here is really good.
I mean, it well could be that it might be more practical to do it here because we can have broader Zoom capability
Yeah,
than we would have elsewhere. And then if there's overflow, we can do it
Yeah.
through Zoom.
we can hold 75 people according to
Yeah.
a yellow sheet of paper back there.
And that's basically the size of that's pretty much the size of the previous meetings that were held. Like the public hearing for the zoning commission, I don't think had any more than 75 people there.
Mhm.
But if
Something
we,
like that.
but we can have a lot more with our Zoom capabilities. So maybe we should just do it here.
Mhm. That's where I would lean now, but we can look into it.
Can people send in written comments?
Yes,
Yes.
they can.
Because the hearing is just like, they're just speaking to us, so. you
Right.
can between written comments, I think is another method.
Right, okay.
There could be a few more chairs too, some of this stuff.
Yeah, we might do some rearrangements. Great, okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to change the topic.
That's okay. Well, just something to think about. We better figure it out, so. Okay. So we'll have a proposal for next time for that. If it's available. Yeah, I don't. Okay. To be continued. Okay, anything else for tonight? May I propose a resolution to adjourn? Okay, so I'll offer a resolution to adjourn. Yeah. Seconded by Cal. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Have we done